I saw the first mortar hit, and about 12 of them, boom, 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 coming right at me.
My name is Tom Hazlitt. I'm interviewing Robert J. McDonald, September 2nd, 2022, at the Bellevue University Veterans Center. To start off, where were you born?
I was born in Kearney, Nebraska, June 5th, 1945. I lived on a farm for about 18 years of my life. My dad was a farmer. Went to high school at Overton High School, graduated. Played football and basketball. I felt pretty good. I was all conference in basketball my senior year, so that's one of my fond memories.
Were you going to go play for Nebraska?
I wasn't that good. Wasn't that good, but I really enjoyed the basketball and played baseball too. But
So your parents were farmers?
farmers,
What did they grow?
corn, some milo, alfalfa, and then we had about 40 head of stock cows. We raised calves and sent them to market as yearlings. And my dad moved there in about 1937. He and my grandpa lived around Sheeny, Nebraska, and they were custom farmers. And when they went out to Nebraska, they bought a half section of land, and it was not real good land, but they started farming it and improving on it, and eventually Grandpa and Dad paid that half off, and then a little while after that, Dad bought a half section of his own. So when Grandma and Grandpa passed away, Dad had the half section he had and a quarter of the other half section, and he also had a quarter of pasture in the foothills. So that was our livelihood. That's what sent 5 of us to, well, let's see, 2 to college, 1 to business school, and, well, 2 to business school. And then I think all 3 of the other ones went to business school. So
Where did you go?
where did I went to Kearney State first, and then I went there 2 years, and I was in pre-engineering. So my 3rd year, I had to go to the University of Nebraska, and that's kind of where this story gets to. I was there for about a year and a semester, and I did a little bit too much bowling and other activities. My grades got down. I lost my college deferment and got drafted in February of 1967. So that's when I went in the Army. Prior to going to the Army, I married my wife, Patricia, February 4th, 1967. And 3 weeks after that, I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri for basic training. We had a real short honeymoon. It was overnight. We got married in Overton, Nebraska. So spent our honeymoon that night in Kearney, Nebraska, and then went back to my parents' house that next day. My dad was due to have eye surgery. He was working with anhydrous ammonia, and you fill from a big tank into this applicator, and there was a pop-off valve that he was having trouble unhooking the hose from it, and the tank got hotter and hotter in the sun, and got so bad that this pop-off valve hit, and it sprayed liquid nitrogen in the face, and he had glasses on, which was not a good thing because we think it hit his face and glasses and then splashed into his eye. But anyway, he ended up having had that eye removed. So he had a glass eye the rest of his life. So it was unfortunate, but he didn't lose his life, and he was probably in his late 60s when that happened.
Your siblings, what were they named?
My sister, my older sister, she was about a year older than me, was Janet. And then my second sister was about 3 years behind me. Her name was, actually was Margaret. We always called her Peggy. So, and then my youngest sister was Marilyn. And Marilyn passed away about not quite 2 years ago, pancreatic cancer. She was the youngest one in our family and the only one that isn't surviving. And ironically, my wife was a family of 7, and her youngest sibling died early at about 64. So we both lost our youngest siblings in our family. So that's kind of unusual. But
So when you when your deferment was up, how'd your family feel about the
interrupted. I don't think my mom grasped the gravity of the situation as much as my dad.
No.
My dad had a brother that died in Okinawa in World War II, and it hit him kind of hard. And throughout my tour, it was hard on him too, because there was one time I hadn't written for about a month. We were really busy, and he told me, he said he thought something had happened, and which it hadn't. Fortunate for him and me. So, but as far as my brothers and sisters, I think they took it in stride. One of my sister's husband is about 4 years younger than I was, and he fell into the lottery system, and he never didn't have to go. I think he drew a real high number, like in the 324 or something like that. But the war was kind of ended, going down then, and so.
If you're still watching, it means this story matters to you. And stories like this aren't really told anymore, but they're part of history. If you want to support and see more of them, subscribe. It helps keep these stories alive. And if you truly want to go deeper, there's a link below to join our Patreon community, where we preserve these stories together. Now, let's get back to the story.
So once you made it to boot camp, how did you like that? Was that a little different?
I didn't feel it was overly taxing. I did know, and somebody told me going in, is don't attract any attention, because somebody does something wrong, they'll pick on that guy quite a bit. The first few that mess up, and I was lucky. I did, I was pretty disciplined. My dad was not a strict person, but he stressed how important it was to follow rules and stuff, and I am that way today. My wife gets angry at me going into the store. She'll go in the exit. I always go the entrance where you're supposed to go. Well, few times I do now go in the exit, but anyway.
Do you still have friends from basic training?
I'd not contact with, I had two pretty close friends, and I'd lost contact. Once I went to Vietnam, I lost contact. And I have a very good friend in Vietnam his name was Les Lang. And I've kind of tried to go on the internet and try to locate him, but it hasn't been very successful, and he may not even be alive, but he was kind of my mentor. We had the same job. He had been there, probably 8 months prior to me. And then he re-upped for another year. So when I left, he was in his second year. So, but we had a lot of fun, respect for each other. We got kind of a reputation with pilots would come in with radio problems, and they had tried to get them fixed at other bases or something and didn't have a lot of luck with them. So we had several times that we had planes or choppers come in that way. And Les and I had an idea, if you couldn't figure out the problem, start cutting wires. And by cutting wires, you had to resplice them, which wasn't difficult. By cutting wires, you could narrow the problem down and fix it. So we had several pilots tell us that they had it worked on several places, so we felt pretty good about that.
That's not in books.
I know. That's what,
That's not in the books.
to cut the wire to do it. Yeah. But it's in a war zone.
What aircraft did you work?
Mainly Hueys. So I got to ride in one once. I had to go north for a week, stay to help out something. And so we got in that Huey. It was in a jump seat, and doors were open. And he took it up 10,000 feet. I was sitting there and my feet on the edge of the helicopter looking straight down 10,000 feet. A little bit scary. But going back to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, being Avionics, I got sent to Augusta, Georgia at Fort Gordon. And I went through their school and did well enough that they kept me on as an instructor. So that was probably February, March, April, so maybe July or so when they kept me on. But anyway, my wife, once I got permanently stationed there, my wife moved down there with me, and she got a job with the military, and she was working in the office where they cut orders, Vietnam, and she had access and things come across her desk, whatever, but she saw my name with orders for Vietnam, and she immediately broke down in tears, and her supervisor came over to talk to her, and he said, was right or not, he said that if she wouldn't have caused a commotion, he probably could have changed the orders. And she felt really bad about that, and he may not have, if he could, that'd be bad if he said that and made her feel bad, but anyway. So then I was there until, I think it was December, about January, I think, is when it got first part of January. So I got 4 weeks leave before moved back to, went back to Overton and then stayed with my parents until took off for Vietnam. So that was my journey up to Vietnam.
Did you have a good time as being an instructor?
Yes, I enjoyed it. I would have been very happy to do that the whole time, but I wouldn't take $1 million to go to Vietnam again, but I wouldn't take $1 million for the experience.
Oh, really?
Yes, yeah, it was. Always served my country, and something special to be able to do that.
So it was pretty rough leaving that 4 weeks, getting on the, yeah, but your wife didn't like that.
Well, and on top of that, my wife was pregnant with her first child, so that was hard. I had very hard for her. She fortunately she had my family was there, and she stayed with my with her brother and babysit 2 of their kids, along with raising my son. So, and my son was 7 months old before I saw him. I did get to go on R&R for 6 days, but it was in the middle of the winter, and the doctor didn't think it was good for her to take the baby over there. So she didn't. So consequently, I didn't see him till I got back from Vietnam in February of '69.
Where was your R&R at?
Hawaii.
She enjoy that?
Well, yeah, but we didn't have a lot of money. We had just been married, and my wife was teaching school before she came down to visit me, so she had some money, but and she got $130 a month pay, I think, and I think I got maybe like $60 a month to live on. So,
What did you think about landing in Vietnam that first day?
well, it wasn't too hard. Everybody was at a window was looking out and saying, and I wasn't really, didn't think I was scared. I know there was one individual was upset, and he was vomiting in a bag and stuff, so I figured he probably was an infantry person, and I felt sorry for him. And any of the infantry men that were, they're the ones that really had it bad over there. But it wasn't super scary.
So when you landed there, did someone come pick you up, or how was that process?
Well, that's a little vague. I'm sure it was some kind of a bus or small van that would pick me up, and can't remember. Hiep Army Airfield was where I was stationed. There was a Air Force base just north of us, probably about 8 or 9 miles or something like that. And I think that was Tuiwa Air Force Base. Does that ring a bell? I think it was Tuiwa was Air Force Base. We got to go eat at their mess one time. They definitely got better meals than we did.
What was the mission of the Hueys there?
I don't know. They were armed. I know they were in combat, because some of them came back and shot up a bundle of wire, would get around or something, nick or catch the whole bundle, and you have to repair that. So they were combat type missions.
Did you hear any stories, or did that amaze you, or what was happening?
You mean from the pilots or anything? No. There was one warrant officer that was stationed there for a while. I know he lost his life in some kind of a shootout or accident or something.
Like a crash, or?
Well, I don't remember for sure whether he was shot down or what, but we remembered when we heard about it, we remembered him. We had talked to him, worked with him with radios or something, and Back to basic training, kind of a funny story.
Oh.
We were in 8-man bays, and we're sitting around Sunday morning talking. I don't know if we're all in there or anything, but this guy by the name of Henry Wilson, he was going into artillery, and he hated it. Oh, he was always complaining about it. And so somebody said to Henry, Henry, if the CO walked in here and told you you could get out of the Army if you catch the next plane out. Henry thought a little bit and he said, CO told me that. He said, I'd catch that plane that just left. So that was a funny part of the military. So,
any good memories, sir, at your first base station?
In Vietnam,
Yeah.
Main memories, the friends that I had there. You know, we were a group good. There was only about 4 or 5 of us in the group, the Avionics group. So I knew them all well and got along extremely well with all of them. There were a couple incidents that we were building. Our CO was having us build an addition to our avionics shop, and lumber was hard to come by, and he said, I don't care how you get it. So they were building a officers club. Middle of the night, we went over there and we tore boards off of that and brought them back and used them to build an addition onto our thing. I don't know what would happen if we got caught or what, but that's memorable. I'll never forget that. And there was another time if we got mortared, we got mortared 3 times while I was there. No casualties or even injuries. But on one of them, whenever you got mortared, they'd issue you weapons, and then you'd go out and call it policing the flight line. These helicopters were parked in sand and embankments or whatever. So some people had to go down the flight line, make sure nobody infiltrated. And my CEO, which was my Avionics CEO, I was with him, and I think there was either 2 or 3 of us with him. But we were supposed to go down through this maintenance. There was a maintenance shack, and it had where they worked on the helicopters, the engine and stuff. There was 3 compartments, 2 good-sized ones, and at the end there was a office. So we go in the first one, look around, nothing. Go in the second one, police that, nothing. We got to the third one, and the door was closed to the office. So our CEO, he put 2 or 3 of us over here. The door opens like this. He opened the door, pinned us there, and he went in with a flashlight. I don't know what he was going to shoot with. I would think a flashlight was going to kill him, but I could have blinded him. Maybe they couldn't have shot, but that was, and I don't know if he ever thought about that. I'm sure he did. It wasn't a very good move, but anyway, nobody got hurt. So,
Besides mortar, was there any other attacks?
no rifle rounds or anything. The thing was the last time we got mortared, I was on guard duty about midnight. We were catching the tail end of a typhoon, and all of a sudden it just got calm, just really calm. And I looked down the flight line where the helicopters were parked. I saw the first mortar hit, and about 12 of them, boom, 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 coming right at me. I bailed out of the tower and down into a bunkered area, and fortunately the closest one might have got 50 yards away from here at all, but they tried to get a couple helicopters up, go out and see, but the monsoon started raining hard again. Couldn't do anything, but they were just waiting out there for that lull in that storm to do that. And it was basically more harassment than anything. I don't think there were enough in our area that would ever storm the compound.
With the helicopters, what's the proudest moment of repair that you can remember?
Repair on it?
Yeah, the one that really saved the mission that you were involved with.
Well, I don't know if I can pick out any one specific thing that I did that I would say saved a mission, or other than the fact that having the radios working was very important to them. So anyone that we repaired I felt was important, and we were doing our job if we supported them and they had all the tools they needed to do their mission.
How big were the radios?
The biggest one was probably about that wide, and then about that long, and about so high. About the size of two lunch pails. And then we had another one that was more flat. It was about this big, and about that high. But the first one, they were pretty heavy, and sometimes you had to, they wouldn't come into the embankment. You'd have to lug them, carry them out there to the, so not too often, but sometimes they wouldn't come in close. They'd still be running too, some of them. Just we'd go out and basically just change out a box, a unit. So.
Were the pilots still in?
Yes, they're still in the pilot and co-pilot. They're still sitting there waiting for us to do it. And so we hurried as fast as we could.
Did you get to know any of those guys?
Not a lot, because basically when they came in, they were business. They were telling us if we had radio problems and stuff, and then they took off for their barracks. And speaking of guard duty, I remember a night I had some $60 in cash and didn't like to carry it, so in my locker I had tucked that in my sleeping bag. So I went on guard duty that night, and in the dark, unfolding my sleeping bag, $60 fell out, and I lost it. I went back that next morning to look, but somebody found it. So that wasn't very good. With my wife at home on $130, I just blew 60. Then there was another time we were playing poker, and draw poker, and I don't know what, I had a pair of kings, maybe, and drew 2 kings, had four kings. So we're betting, and the other guy he had 4, he kept 4 cards and drew 1. So he was raising me, we were raising back and forth, and he raised, I said, I don't have any more money, I got to go back to my locker. Got some more out of my locker, raised him again, and anyway, it ended up, he turned over a straight flush. He drew 1 card to a straight flush, and I don't know if he hit it on the end or in the middle or what, but you could have, that hurt. You lose 4 kings.
Now you laugh about it.
I laugh about it, yeah. Back then it was hurtful. So,
Was there any other memorable time that you enjoyed it there?
we drank a lot of beer. we worked long hours. We'd get up in the morning about 6 o'clock, and I go to bed till about 11, work till 9, 10 o'clock. And so we had a PX that was only about 2 miles. We were on the shore, on the beach, about 2 miles from the beach. But anyways, bought beer, and we had coolers. We had refrigerators. So every night at 11 o'clock or so, we'd drink beer for about an hour and a half or so and get up the next morning and say, we're not drinking any beer tonight. The next night, and that went on one time for about a month. And then it finally tapered off. And but that was some of the memorable things. This friend Les Lang, when I got there with breakfast, he would always put hot sauce on his eggs. Said they're no good unless you got some on. I started doing that, and I just do that today. Now you rarely eat over easy eggs without hot sauce. So that was a memorable thing that I remember, a good thing. And we had a couple entertainment groups, bands, come in, maybe 3 times while I was there. And back to the beer, usually it was Ham's beer, and when the Ham's was gone, there was only one left, and it was called Ballantine. Have you ever heard of it? I think they still make it. It's out of Minnesota or something, but I mean, it wasn't good. It was grain beer. But when the Ham's was gone, boy, that's all you had left, and that was in the club. The stuff we got at the PX, we always could get different brands of beer, but I don't think they even had that particular beer. So Ballantine.
Is there any bad times that came about?
Probably the worst thing that happened, it was a physical thing. They, on the flight line, they have these metal planks. They got, you probably see them, they got holes in them. Yeah, we were moving some. In fact, these were not the light ones. These were the heavy ones. And they didn't, take that back, these didn't have the holes in them. They were heavy. And so we were moving them, and I was carrying one. Guy was behind me like this, and I was on the other end, and I was carrying it behind my back like this, which was so he didn't have to back up. Well, we got to where they're supposed to be, and he said, drop it. Well, I was in the process of turning around to get a hold of it so that I could drop it, and he let go of his and slipped out of my hand. It come down across my right leg here, and bruised the heck out of it. And I was limping on it quite a bit, and I had that same night or day after that, I had KP, and they wouldn't let me out of it. So I had KP all day and stuff. So that was not fun. So it took probably about a week before it finally healed up to where it didn't hurt to walk. So
describe your KP duty.
Oh, I always was pots and pans. I don't think I ever got to do anything other than pots and pans. But to get something other than pots and pans, you had to get up extra early to get those jobs, and I wasn't one to do that. I didn't hate pots and pans so much that I was going to give up a half hour, 45 minutes of sleep. This wasn't a situation that happened with me, but there was a guy that I knew in Auburn, Nebraska, where I lived before I moved to Bellevue, and he was in Vietnam. And he said one night they were on guard duty and they're messing around with a grenade launcher, and it accidentally went off and went into this small village very far away. They talked about it, and they said, well, he said, we're not going to say anything unless we hear that somebody got injured over there. And they never heard about anybody getting injured, so they never fessed up to it.
How many, you spent 4 years in the service?
3.
3 years?
Yeah, just a little bit shy of, about a month shy of 3 years. I got out a month early to start college back at Kearney State, where I ended up and got my teaching degree at Kearney. Went on GI Bill, drew that for a year and a half to finish my degree.
How were you treated coming back home?
I didn't have any incidents of bad treatment at all. We flew into, I think we flew out of Oakland. When we come back, I can't remember where it was, but then I flew from California someplace to Denver, and then from Denver to Grand Island, Nebraska. Here's Grand Island. And in Denver, we were getting ready to go and we got delayed. And this stewardess come down and she said, they tried to get this plane out of here last night and couldn't, maintenance problems. And I thought, man, whole year in Vietnam, I'm coming home, I'm going to go down in a commercial aircraft going home. So, but it was fine.
Were you in uniform?
I think it was, yeah. Because I think you had to, I don't think you could go civilian. I think you had to travel with your uniform, or you'd probably had to pay for it, I thought, but I'm pretty sure I was in uniform. Sure.
How was your reception at the house?
Oh, very, at the airport, my mom and dad and my wife and my son, I think they were the only ones that met me at the aircraft, but it was good. They were happy to see me, especially my dad. He was always worried and stuff, and my wife too. And they were all happy and anxious to see me. So,
so you used the GI Bill to get a.
I got a degree in a teaching degree in math and science.
Wow.
And I student taught in Wilcox, Nebraska. But once I student taught, I got the feeling that maybe this wasn't going to be what I'd end up doing. But I had a high school buddy that he was a school teacher, and he got a deferment, got his degree, and then taught in Bartlett, Nebraska. But then he had the opportunity to hire on at Cooper Nuclear Station in Brownville, Nebraska in chemistry. So before, like in January, before I graduated in August, he called me and said they had an opening and said you should come interview. So I went down and interviewed, and they hired me. Didn't pay me, but they told me they wanted me to finish my degree in August. So I did, and the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I had a wonderful career.
What were you doing there?
And worked in chemistry. We did a lot of monitoring of the water in the reactor system. Used water and steam and stuff, so I was there. And then I did some work in health physics, which is the health physics. They monitor the radiation exposure to all workers and make sure they're not getting any more than they're legally allowed to get and stuff. So I've worked in that department too. Went back and forth in a couple times, so wherever I was needed. And but financially, NPPD at Cooper Station was a very, very good job. They had a super retirement plan, they matched you 2-to-1 for every dollar you put in. They put in $2, and I did that from day one. As soon as I think he had to be there a year before he could join it, but I started at taking 5% out every payday, and they matched it 2-to-1 up to $40,000 annual salary, and then from then on, if you're up above that, it was 1-to-1. But
How many years did you put in there?
about 42. Yeah, 42 years. When I retired, I was the person that has spent more time at Cooper Station than anybody. But since then, I had another guy who was about my age. He broke that record all to heck. I think he went another maybe 5-6 years past my 41. But yeah.
Did you attend any reunions?
No, I haven't. The only ones that, well, I lost track of it. And there were a really small group in Vietnam, only about 5 or 6 of us. And I was never contacted by one. And I probably would have if somebody would have contacted me, said, hey, we're getting together. I would have made an effort to go, but
Do you have any life lessons that you can draw out of your military service that you would like to pass on?
life lessons. Well, I don't know, probably just perseverance. Things can get tough, but you can always look at it and they could get tougher. Especially the guys that didn't return or came back disabled. They're the ones that probably are hurt more than the ones that actually died in the war. Some guys losing legs and arms and things like that. That's a sad situation for them. And I don't like the way they've been treated. I don't think they've been treated fairly. Not that the government took advantage of them, but I don't think they did enough for them. I know they're trying or been a push to a lot of these VA hospitals or something that's appears to be looking better than it was about 4 or 5 years ago. There's some horror stories.
One last question. Is there anything that you wanted to share about your service or your life that you would like to pass on?
I feel very fortunate to have been born in America. I think that's one of the best things Americans have. If you're born here, you get the best start in the world, and what you make of it is up to you. If you just buckle down, work hard, go to your job, get her done. Like I say a lot of opportunities in this, and I'm very fortunate. I can't think of anything in my life that I regret or feel that I didn't get that I wanted. I'm just very satisfied with where I am in life. My family situation, my friends, my financial situation. Just very happy individual. My wife might not agree with you on that every time. She may think I'm getting down a little bit or no, but anyway.
Well, I want to thank you for your service. I'm proud to have interviewed you.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm glad to do it. So, hopefully it'll work out. So.